What if the biggest mistake you ever made was actually the first step to success? Think about it. We all mess up, right? We all fall flat on our faces. But what if those stumbles, those so-called failures, were actually setting us up for something incredible? From billionaires launching rockets to writers conjuring magical worlds, every success story is built on a foundation of mistakes. Stick around, because one of these mistakes might just change how you see failure forever. Let's start with a story that's almost impossible to believe. Steve Jobs, the visionary who gave us Apple, the man who built a tech empire, got fired from his own company. Can you imagine pouring your heart and soul into something only to be told to pack your bags? Most people would be crushed. Not Steve. He took that rejection, that stinging setback, and he used it to fuel his next chapter. He founded Next, a company that pioneered groundbreaking technology. He bought a little animation studio called Pixar, you might have heard of it. Jobs returned to Apple not as a defeated CEO, but as a conquering hero. Getting fired was a devastating blow, but it ultimately forced him to grow, to evolve, and to come back stronger than ever. Now let's talk about Elon Musk, a man who seems to defy the odds on a regular basis. But even Elon, with his rockets and electric cars and Martian dreams, has stared failure in the face. In 2008, SpaceX, his rocket company, had suffered 3 launch failures in a row. To make matters worse, Tesla was on the brink of bankruptcy. Musk was nearly broke, his dreams seemingly turning to dust. He had one last shot, one final rocket. If it failed, SpaceX was finished, and Tesla would likely follow. But that 4th rocket, it worked. That single launch changed everything. Oprah Winfrey, a name synonymous with empathy, with vulnerability, with connecting with people on a deeply emotional level. But did you know that she was once fired from her job as a TV news anchor for being too emotional? Her bosses told her she wasn't cut out for television. They told her she was too invested, too raw, too real. Can you imagine telling Oprah Winfrey that her emotions are a weakness? Thankfully, she didn't listen. She took that criticism and turned it into her superpower. She embraced her empathy, her ability to connect with people on a heart-to-heart level. Oprah built an empire, not in spite of her emotions, but because of them. Now, let's step into the magical world of Harry Potter. But before there was Hogwarts and spells and a boy who lived, there was a struggling single mom named J.K. Rowling, facing rejection after rejection. She poured her heart and soul into the Harry Potter books, only to have them rejected by 12 publishers. 12! Imagine the sting of that rejection, the self-doubt that must have crept in. One publisher even told her, "Don't quit your day job." But J.K. Rowling didn't listen to the naysayers. She believed in her story, in her characters, in her magic. The 13th publisher she sent the manuscript to took a chance on Harry Potter. The rest is literary history. Walt Disney. The name is synonymous with imagination, with creativity, with bringing dreams to life. But believe it or not, Walt Disney was once fired from a newspaper job because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Let that sink in for a moment. Walt Disney, no imagination. After his first company failed, Disney could have easily given up on his dreams. But Walt Disney was not a man of mediocrity. He channeled his frustration, his disappointment into his work, creating Mickey Mouse, building an animation empire, and changing the landscape of entertainment forever. Thomas Edison, the man who brought us the light bulb, the phonograph, the motion picture camera, a true innovator, a pioneer of his time. But Edison's path to success was paved with failures, thousands of them. When trying to invent the light bulb, Edison didn't just fail once or twice, he failed over 10,000 times. He famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His persistence, his refusal to be defeated by setbacks, is what ultimately led him to success. Our final story takes us to the skies, to the Wright brothers. 2 men who dared to dream of flight at a time when such a notion seemed like madness. They were ridiculed, mocked, labeled as delusional. Their early flying machines crashed, a lot. But the Wright brothers refused to be grounded by doubt or discouragement. They studied each crash, learned from each mistake, and refined their designs. And finally, in 1903, after years of tireless work and countless setbacks, they achieved what many thought impossible: sustained, controlled flight. Every success story you admire is built on mistakes. The truth is, failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a part of it. So the next time you mess up, remember, you're not failing, you're learning. The only real failure? Giving up too soon. Which of these stories inspired you the most? Drop it in the comments. Let's turn mistakes into comebacks together.